All right, what's up, y'all? I got a topic I want to talk about today, and this is conventional wisdom. All right, and the reason I want to talk about this is because I feel like the majority of what we recommend people do is extremely counter conventional wisdom. And I get reminded about this every day, anytime I go anywhere and step outside of my little comfort zone of the people that I work with and the people that we're trying to empower, or the people that are on this health path with us, or that we're teaching to be on this health path with us. For example, I go to the grocery store, a regular grocery store, and I see someone buying fat-free milk, skim milk. I'm like, people still do that? And I see people buying whole wheat bread, or even like at Whole Foods, I see people buying soy milk and almond milk and doing a lot of juicing and just whatever. Like there's all these things that trigger this realization in me that there are so many people out there that are completely lost and confused about what they need to do to be truly healthy. So we have a lot of mini subtopics that we can unpack in this topic of conventional wisdom. So what I want to do today is just talk about what is conventional wisdom, what are the main things that we see out there that we feel like are wrong, and then I'll follow that up with some kind of mini episodes on each one of these topics because we could talk all day about every one of them. And I can still remember back in my early days here in Vegas, back in 2011, 2012, when I was first doing my talks here, like it was a fight to get people to understand and believe that it was okay to eat butter. I mean, now the good thing is we got like so much traction with this real food movement that it's not so crazy anymore. I'm not considered fringe lunatic. But so what is conventional wisdom, right? Conventional wisdom is basically what everybody thinks is true, and they don't really know why. They just hear it a lot, and so everybody believes it. And so because everyone believes it, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy and self-perpetuates, right? So the textbook definition of conventional wisdom is ideas or explanations that are generally accepted by the public or by experts in a field. These ideas or explanations are widely held, unexamined, and unproven, and societal habits preserve the status quo, which is basically what I just said, right? Everybody believes, and knows saturated fat's bad for you. Well, how do we all know? I don't know. We just all know. We've been told that for the majority of our lives, but do we really know? Do we really understand, what's going on with that, right? So, and the problem with it is that like people are so married to what they think is right that they don't open up the possibility to learn new information. And that's part of one of the things that we're all about, which is constant learning and evolution and experimentation. That's what makes us so unique. We're not necessarily married to anything, although I feel like at this point we kind of have some foundational principles that we haven't budged on in a while. So here's something to think about. What most people believe and are doing out there is completely wrong because most people are struggling and suffering. All right. And so then it stands to reason that if I'm coming in here saying that we have the solution, we have the right information and what you need to know, that if what everyone else is doing isn't working, what we're going to recommend is going to be completely different, if not opposite, from what everyone else is doing. And we get results because what everyone else is doing is not getting results. All right. So, and I like that about us. I like that we're rebellious and mavericks in the holistic health realm, even within, like the real food methodologies like paleo and keto. Like in paleo, like we love full fat dairy. We're not anti-dairy. We love an ancestral approach to health, but we're not so married to it that we don't embrace modern conveniences. We love the keto movement, but we don't think keto is the way to go for most people. Because it's too restrictive and there's a lot of problems that come from it over the long term. By the way, we're experts with keto, we're experts with paleo, and same thing with vegan and all these other methodologies. So let's just touch on what we would consider the most popular conventional wisdom viewpoints, right? Saturated fat clogs your arteries, causes cholesterol problems, and causes heart disease. Now, if you or you got a doctor or someone that's still preaching this information, this is so old school. It's not even funny. It's laughable. Actually, it is funny. It's laughable, okay? Because eating saturated fat, especially traditional sources of saturated fat, doesn't clog your arteries any more than eating broccoli clogs your arteries with broccoli. Why? Because your body metabolizes food. All right, and in fact, a lot of my body is made from different types of saturated fats and different fats in general. Like the majority of my body composition is not just protein and amino acids. It's a lot of fatty acids, and our cell membranes are like there's so many different roles that fat plays in the body. Eating saturated fat actually contributes to better lipid numbers over the long term, according to orthodox medicine. And then the question is, like, is cholesterol even as important as we think it is? And we would say that it's probably not the way that most people view it. Cholesterol is not a problem. Cholesterol is made by every single cell in your body. That's how important it is. Cholesterol is 25% of the body's cholesterol is stored in the brain because it is the glial factor needed for proper synapse formation, which means that we need cholesterol to function properly, to think properly. I could go on and on about it, right? And cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. Cholesterol does not cause heart disease any more than firefighters cause fires. If I drove around here and I go up to a burning house and I see the firefighters there putting out a fire, I wouldn't make the assumption that, oh, every time I see a fire, there's a fire department here, so that means the fire department caused the fire. Well, every time I see cholesterol numbers that seem to be at a certain level or out of whack or something, doesn't mean that they're the problem. It means that this is a check engine light that I need more investigation to see what I'm doing that's contributing to what I think is the problem. Then the question is that really a problem? No, it's not. I mean, there's traditional cultures all over the world that have total cholesterol numbers anywhere from 160 up to the high 200s. But here in America, we have a 200 or higher, and we get automatically put on a statin. This whole idea that there's good, bad cholesterol, LDL is necessary inside the body. So it's not that LDL is bad. LDL comes in an infinite variety of sizes, and it serves a lot of important roles inside the body. Anyway, I could talk forever about cholesterol because I have to talk about it all day, every day with clients. So another one, meat causes cancer. I don't know, man. I am meat. If eating meat causes cancer, I cause myself cancer or something like that. Meat is crucial for health. The studies that show that red meat causes cancer, they're correlational, observational, and epidemiological, right? So they're associative, right? Just like I just mentioned, the whole firefighters causing fire, in the presence of the other data, like the people that typically eat what is considered to be meat also do other unhealthy things because we're all told that meat is so bad for us, right? And the people that try to eat healthy are typically, if they eat meat, eating chicken and eggs and fish and egg whites and low-fat versions of everything. And it's not because those things are healthy that they're healthy, but they're also probably doing a lot of other healthy stuff. So when we see these studies and epidemiological studies that say that meat causes cancer, what we're talking about is, first of all, what do they classify as meat? Well, pasta sauce, lasagna, pizza, Hot Pockets, like all these things are grouped in the category of meats. So people that are eating, crap food that has meat packaged in that crap food also have these poor health markers and all kinds of other problems, but meat gets the bad rap for it, I meant not to go off into these topics too much, but I can't help it but do a little bit of elaboration. Plant-based is best for the earth. You know what? Plant-based is not best for the earth. I wish it was, because that would be a nice, clean little story. Actually, agriculture and monocropping is what is destroying the soil and destroying the earth. All right, and I'm not saying that mass production industry raised cattle is much better, but we really don't know what we're talking about when we talk about like what's best for the earth. Most people don't. I've read 8 books on sustainability, and I still don't know what I'm talking about. But what I do know is that whether we think that plant-based is best for the planet or not is not the question that we need to be asking. What we need to be asking is, what is best for the human? What is best for me? Because if eating dog poop was best for the planet, I'm not going to do it because it's not good for me, right? I need to figure out what's best for me, and then when I figure out what's best for me, then I need to figure out what is the best way to do that is best for the planet. But I can tell you right now, plant-based is not best for the planet. It's actually way more damaging for the planet. What's best for the planet is going to be regenerative agriculture and rotational farming that includes animals and livestock. And again, like we'll go off on a tangent on that at some point in the future, right? Meat is not bad for the earth, right? Meat is crucial and necessary for the health of this planet, right? And there was a time that there was millions of buffalo roaming the land that we're standing on right now. So cow farts are not causing the problem, all right? It is better to eat chicken and fish than it is meat and pork. Well, we'd say the opposite is true. Like, actually, we're way more resembling meat and pork. This body is way more resembling meat and pork than it's resembling chicken and fish. And I'm not saying that those things aren't fine and healthy, but the idea that these things are better for you usually comes from the idea that saturated fat is bad for the heart and causes, cholesterol problems and all that kind of stuff. So there's this phobia around eating meat. Like if I have a preference and when I'm teaching it to clients, I think eating red meat and fatty pork and things are better for the body because it gives your body a lot more nutrients and stuff to work with. All right, calcium supplements are good for bones. Actually, we've seen so much research in the literature showing that calcium supplements are anti-good for bones. Right? What's the best way to get calcium? To eat real food. What's the best source of calcium? Like animal meats and bones, really. Fiber supplements are good for bowel movements. Actually, fiber supplements can be extremely damaging for the digestive system. What's healthy about fruits and vegetables? Is it the fiber? No, it's the fruit and vegetable. It's the whole thing. Right? So when we take isolated, fractionated versions of anything, we run into potential problems, and we just need to be aware of that, right? Popping a bunch of, which I used to do all this, man. I used to do everything that I'm talking about here. I used to believe it. I used to believe the wrong version of it. I used to pop psyllium husk and all that stuff like I was going out of style. And what's helpful about fruits and vegetables is not the fiber. It's the fiber in the context of the fruit and vegetable, and it may not be the fiber. It may just be the whole total package of everything, the synergy of everything working together. Plant-based and vegan are healthier. Plant-based and vegan are not healthier over the long term. I'm sorry, but they're just not. I was a hardcore dedicated vegan for 2 years, and the first 6 months I felt great. It was the vegan honeymoon, right? And then a year into it, a year and a half, like I lost all my muscle mass. I developed some significant skin and digestive issues. And this is the same thing we see with people that are actually being strict with the vegan protocol, especially if they're doing raw vegan. And we're not saying that that's not better. Of course it's better than eating processed food. So if you go from eating the standard American diet to eating something that's plant-based and you start to see improvements, it's not because you're not eating meat or not eating fat. It's because you stop eating all the crap, right? And we can say that with a lot of the other popular methodologies. Juicing is good for you, right? But we don't think juicing is good for you at all, right? The same thing, same argument we just went through. Juicing, if you're juicing, fresh fruits and vegetables, and before you were doing like, croissants and freaking donuts and all this other stuff, of course that's going to be better. And of course you're going to feel better and see some results. But juicing is not natural. We need, for our digestive process to work properly, we need to see and think about and prepare our own food, because that initiates digestive processes and juices and flowing and all that kind of stuff. We need to masticate and chew our food, because that is part of our digestive system, right? If we bypass that, we're bypassing digestion. And a lot of the juices that people drink are nothing but big sugar bombs, even though they're coming from real food sources. Is just probably not the best thing in the world. We recommend most people just eat their food. We don't recommend that people drink their food. What's another one here? So I got a list. Oh, doing a detox is going to clean things up. Okay, so now I need a detox. Now I want to get my health in order, and I want to detox myself, right? Detoxification is not something that you just choose to do when you want to, all right? Your body is detoxifying itself all the time. It has to. The question is, are you feeding your body the right foods? Are those foods clean? And do you know what the heck you're doing when it comes to that? Because if you are, all the detox pathways are facilitated by specific nutrients. And the best thing that you can do for proper detoxification is eat 100% fresh real food as often as you can. And if you want to make an improvement from that, then you can start to focus on food quality and eating seasonally. Whole grains are not healthy. I don't even feel like I have to cover that at all, right? There's not many animals that we buy grain for and feed it to, except for birds, and we're not birds. We have a different digestive system. We don't do good on seeds in general. There's a spectrum of seeds, of course, and whole grains are at the worst end of the spectrum. And if I'm trying to eat in a way that facilitates making this amazing, beautiful, adaptive, flexible, evolutionary body, seeds are not where it's at, okay? Definitely whole grains aren't where it's at. So eating carrots does not give you vitamin A. And there's a lot of other examples that we could go through. Beta-carotene is not vitamin A. Beta-carotene is the precursor to vitamin A. And most people don't make the conversion from beta-carotene into vitamin A. And that's not to say that there's not some beneficial value in consuming carotenes, but that's just an example of like I'm not getting vitamin A when I eat carrots and produce, right? Protein powders are not healthy for you. I don't know how many people out there are doing protein powders right now, but I definitely believe that, this is a scientifically engineered powder that has the perfect ratios of certain amino acids, and I feel like, real food can't do everything that I need it to do, right? Especially if I'm doing all this weightlifting and stuff. Well, I mean, I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm doing things I never thought were possible. I can squat, 350 pounds. I can deadlift 450 pounds. I can do gymnastics and muscle ups and handstand walks, and like I can do conditioning, cardio, long term, short term, like all kinds of different durations and things. And that's not just tooting my own horn necessarily, but it's saying that I'm doing all that on 100% fresh real food. And there is, we do recommend some strategic supplementation to supplement a real food way of eating, but we don't recommend consuming protein powders to replace food, all right? Because protein powders are shelf stable and dead and fractionated, and it's not the same thing as eating a steak, okay? And then for weight loss, this is what I think most people still believe. I need to eat less, exercise more, and burn more calories than I consume, which implies that it's an in and out thing. Like if I burn more than I consume, then I'm going to lose weight, and if I burn less than I consume, I'm going to gain weight. And the body does not work like this little thermodynamic engine. It's super complex and dynamic. The goal with weight loss, in our opinion, is to eat nutrient-dense foods and train your body how to use its own fat stores for fuel. And when you can do that and incorporate some space and fasting, then all kinds of magic starts to happen. But it is not about this neurotic weighing and measuring and trying to figure out, if exercising does not burn more calories. So it's not as if the more exercise I do, the better. It's actually, I want to do the right kind of exercise. I want to build a strong, amazing body, and I want to eat in a way that trains my body how to use its own body fat for fuel. Most of us that abide by this methodology and our way of doing things, we train for an hour a day, and that's it. That's all we do. And then we stay active. We're on our feet, taking breaks and walks and stuff like that, but not because it's burning calories, just because it's healthy for us. And then we need this. I can't believe that I still see this all the time, but I do, because it's been ingrained in us, and I used to believe it. All right. We need to eat more often to burn more calories and to keep our metabolism stoked. Now, this is just one of the biggest hoodwinking, false things, whatever the heck you want to call that has ever been pulled on us, right? Think about this logically. I need to eat more often to burn more calories. I need to eat more to burn more. It doesn't make any sense when you just sit with that statement, okay? The reason that we've been recommended for our entire existence, or our lives, to eat more often to burn more calories is because we're a nation of carnivores that are addicted to carbohydrates, and we have to feed the carb cycle. Otherwise, we go crazy and we get hangry, right? But when you come into our world and you train the body how to use body fat for fuel, everything changes. Like, you don't have to eat every 2 or 3 hours. Most of our community eats 2 times a day, and a lot of us eat 1 time a day. And I'm not saying that's where most people need to start, but most of us gravitate towards that simply because our body is getting energy from its body fat stores, and it's not keto, it's not low carb. We have our own way of doing things, but when the body understands how to do that, then everything shifts and changes, and hunger and appetite patterns change, and it's not about eating every 2 or 3 hours. It really isn't. And in fact, like most people, I don't think understand that excess body fat is meant to be energy for when you're not eating. Whether that's hours or days or weeks. Excess body fat is meant to be energy for when you're not eating. So the only way to really, truly, and healthfully get your body to tap into fat source for fuel is to not eat sometimes. All right, so I think that's the main things that I embark on. I go into the grocery store and I see people buying skim milk, and my compassion, I almost feel like crying on the spot, because this person is trying to do the right thing. Just like I was trying to do the right thing, just like we were trying to do the right thing. And it just breaks my heart that people are still believing in this flawed logic and stuff. So I think a takeaway from this is, so pro tip, if you're still having health issues, if you're still tired and overweight and things don't seem to be working for you in the face of what you think is the right thing to do, you have to consider the possibility that some of what you think is healthy isn't.